Hi, friends. Welcome back to Live at the Roxy. So much to talk about today. And also, I'm excited because I just got back from my first protest. We'll be talking all about it because I know, that I said I wasn't going because of my grandparents and all this stuff. And we'll talk about how I did it and what I did and all of that. But yes, protesting definitely is on the list of things to talk about today. Also, the Oscars. I know we didn't talk about that yesterday with their new diversity and inclusion plan or lack of plan at this time, but announcement that there will be an announcement and or plan coming up. So we'll definitely be breaking that down. Also talking movies a little bit more, Wonder Woman and Tenet both being delayed. I want to get your guys' thoughts on that because, COVID's still a thing. And then more BLM stuff. Jay Pharaoh, I don't know if you guys saw his Instagram live video, but it was incredibly fucking disturbing. And after yesterday's guest, James Lott, who was incredible, by the way, I always know he's incredible, but I was glad to see you guys be so receptive to him. After that, just hearing his story, like his 7-Eleven story, and then seeing Jay Pharaoh's video, we just still have so far to go. So yeah, all that and more today on Live at the Roxy. Who knows why she put on that voice. So yes, welcome back to the show, guys. Again, we're doing another solo show because I feel like I want to be doing these at least a couple times a week to be talking to you guys so we can really connect on where we're at with everything, as this is one of the craziest times of our lifetime, no matter what age you are at this point. And also because there's a lot of news that we miss when we have guests and we're not really talking about. So like the Oscars and the inclusivity and all of that. So definitely wanting to make sure that this is a collaborative show today. So let me know what you guys have, comments, questions, concerns, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer right here in the chat, in the super chat as well, and all of that great stuff. I did want to start with a couple of things that already came through in the Streamlabs, starting with Weston Ira, who said, here's some news. Fox News runs digitally altered images in coverage of Seattle's protests, Capitol Hill Autonomous Z Zone. Kate Blanchett hurts herself with a chainsaw. A Tulsa cop says blacks probably ought to be shot more, and Kaepernick to the Pats? Question mark. Some of these things I've heard of and some of these things I have not heard of. So let's look at some of these things together. The Fox News running digitally altered images. I'm not sure about this, but I have heard of a lot of news outlets running digitally altered images right now, not being even aware that they're doing so. There was that image that a lot of places were running with a while ago. Maybe by a while, I mean like a week ago, of Trump holding the Bible next to Hitler holding the Bible, which was an altered image. And I didn't just see that online. I also saw that on broadcast. So, people do this. And when you're not fact checking and source checking, and because things are moving so quickly, it does happen. Obviously, if it's Fox News, you better do your due diligence. But I didn't see the altered photos of Seattle's protest. And, that is really me giving them the benefit of the doubt that they didn't know that the photos were altered, because you just never know with the news bureau. So there is that. Kate Blanchett hurts herself with a chainsaw. I didn't see this. Like, how bad did she hurt herself? Hopefully the answer to that is not very bad. Let me know. Kate Blanchett suffers a head injury in a chainsaw accident. This was on June 4th, so a week ago, at her home in England. She took a little nick to the head using a mechanical saw. Brutal. That fucking sucks. Strange news, but I like it. I don't like that she did that, but I like that we're talking about random shit sometimes. Tulsa cop. God, so many crazy things going on about Tulsa. Like, what did I hear was happening on the anniversary of the Tulsa race riots, the race massacre, that Trump is having a talk there or some shit. If a cop really said the quote that blacks probably ought to be shot more, I didn't hear that. That's incredibly fucked up. I don't know. Even, when people say like taken out of context, I don't know what context you could put that in. So if that happened, what the fuck? That doesn't even make any, like, there's nothing you could say to excuse that. So that's just racism, and more racism. And Kaepernick to the Pats. I've been getting a lot of questions about the Patriots recently as Robert Kraft continues to be one of the biggest donors to Donald Trump. Obviously not my favorite aspect of the team. But yeah, I've heard a lot of discussions about Kaepernick. I guess we'll see. People are saying that the Patriots should sign him. People are saying that they are going to sign him. So nothing's official unless it is, and I didn't see. So interesting comments in here. Thanks for that. Another Streamlab that came in from Glenn Caesar. Glenn Caesar said, "Hello, Roxy. Much love to you and the Rockstars band for continuing to fight the good fight during these crazy times in today's world. I don't have a question. Just wanted to say good on you. Good on you all. I hope that you have the best Saturday that you possibly can. Glenn, I really appreciate that. You are awesome. And your support means everything to me. All of your guys' support means everything to me. Lloyd Nance, who gave some support between yesterday's show and today's show, and I appreciate that. Lloyd is always incredible. Lewis Cox in here right now, who says, "Hey, Roxy, I saw somewhere that HBO Now will merge with, I believe, HBO Max, and HBO Go will merge with HBO. I don't know. That's what I saw on Twitter, but it can be BS. Man, I don't know." Listen, Lewis, I don't know either. We'll keep seeing what the fuck happens with HBO. We will keep seeing. Also, shout out to Dodger Ryan 124 in here, and everybody else for joining us live right now. I have not been watching HBO Max at all. I have not been watching much TV, except for, as I told you guys, Filthy Rich, because that shit is fucked up. But I'm only on episode 3 now, so ugh. Okay, so let's get into it, guys. Let's get into the episode. I do want to talk about, to start, my experience with the protest. By the way, here's my sign that I made. I like the yellow. I'm a big yellow person. Yellow is my mom's favorite color. And on the back, it says, "Take a picture of this sign to register to vote." Honestly, I bet if I hold this up to you guys right now, if you take a picture of this, it might even work. I'll hold it up for a second. Maybe that works to register to vote. Yeah. So what I thought was, I'll tell you guys my entire experience. For anybody who this is their first time watching the show, or you tune in sometimes, but you don't know, but you don't tune in all the time, welcome. Happy to have you. I have not been going to protests because of the fact that I still regularly see my grandparents, my 92 and 94-year-old Grammy and Papo, who I take care of a lot of the time. And I am, in charge of a lot of things for them and help with a lot of things for them. And you cannot put them at risk. You cannot put your family or yourself at severe risk when they are at that age and feel good about it. There's just no way. So when the protests were going on early on, when they were police were making the protests out of hand, B, there was thousands and thousands of people in these massive protests. I just didn't feel like that was the best way for me to support while also supporting my family, which killed me inside, because if it was just me, and the risk is COVID, then fine. But I can't do that to my grandparents. And I think that a lot of you guys understand that. So yeah, I hadn't gone. But you guys know I've been donating and did a fundraiser, and as by the way, we have a meeting tonight for the World Girls to try to figure out our World Girls fundraiser. and have been signing petitions and have been bringing on and amplifying voices on this show. And I've been doing a lot of things, but as somebody who is able-bodied, somebody who's I'm about to be 29 years old, I'm able to go to protests. I didn't feel good about the fact that I wasn't going. And I'm somebody in life who likes to practice what I preach. And so I've been looking and looking for protests that I thought were going to be possibly a little smaller, that I could try to remain as safe as possible for Grammy and Papo. And on this Instagram that I've told you guys about before, that's called In This Together _LA, they post the night before all different protests for the next day throughout the city of Los Angeles. And there was one this morning at 9 that was like a mile away from where I live, and it was starting at a church. And I thought, it's in the morning, I can do it before the stream. It's starting at a church. It's going towards the La Brea Tar Pits. That's like a big open area. Let me see if I can do this and it feels kind of safe and whatnot. And when I got there, it was, and I went with Ben Bateman. And when we got there, it was so since it started at church in the like parking lot of the church or the side lot of the church, I don't know exactly what they use it for. There was this incredible station making place. First you like check in, and then there was a sign making station, and there was a speaker station, and there was all different stations and people, but there was definitely people were social distanced. And there was probably about, when we got there, maybe like 70 people. By the time we were marching, maybe there were like 200 people. But we just did our very best to stay far to the side and far back, or far to the side and far up, or whatever. I feel like I was over 6 feet away from people 90% of the time. And sometimes when roads would get narrower, maybe a few less feet, or a couple less feet, but really we did a pretty good job. Every single person had a mask on. And so that's kind of what I did to try and stay safe. In terms of my actual experience with the protest, I will tell you guys that I didn't expect to get as emotional as I did. I started like just legitimately weeping, because as we were walking, and it was pretty early on in the march, as we were walking, there were so many people, so many cars that were driving by us, because this was march through the streets, and so you've stopped traffic and you're going through, and then we started going more through neighborhoods, but we were on a main road to start, and there's just cars that are honking at you to support you and screaming out their windows that Black Lives Matter. And typically if you stop traffic, you get a bunch of middle fingers, but nobody was minding being late, or what, just it's worth stopping traffic for. So everybody was honking. And then as we were going through the neighborhoods, there were moms and parents with their young kids, and there were some kids in the actual protest too, but they're holding their kids up, and their kids from their balconies have signs that say Black Lives Matter. And you're hearing like these 4-year-olds shout as we're doing the chants walking through, say her name, Breonna Taylor, say his name, George Floyd. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. And they're shouting with us from their homes, and they're learning at such a young age that this is fact. And when you know something when you're 4 years old is fact, that doesn't really change. those are people who are going to grow up to know for a fact that Black Lives Matter because their parents are showing them and teaching them, and they're watching people go through the streets. And I don't know, there was just something really emotional about it for me because I'm not Black and I will never understand what it's like to be Black, but to at some point in your life to be born Black, and at some point in your life to feel like your life does not matter because that's what the world has told you or shown you. And now to see people of all different races and genders and religions come out and know that Black Lives Matter and be supported like that, it must be one hell of a feeling. And I just was so lucky to be a part of it. And I definitely, if you guys live in a place where there are multiple protests a day like I am, and you are able to, because you are of able body, you're not taking care of somebody who has a low immune system or whatever, if you are physically able to, without putting yourself at too much harm, then I just think it's an experience that even selfishly, I'll never forget that. And it was very cathartic for me. And I'm so honored to be able to support. And, when I was walking through, I thought to myself, like, if for some reason, again, ever in the future, because we've seen crazy shit happen, the Jews are under attack, I hope that people show up for me. And so I need to show up for people, if that makes any sense. Yeah, it was really, truly unbelievable. And I would love anybody who's gone to a protest so far, send a bunny. We send bunnies for whatever it is, but anybody who's gone to a protest so far in the chat, send bunnies. Because I just want to shout you out. Not that it's the only thing you can do, not that it's the most important of the things to do, because donating and signing petitions and all of these things are so, so important, but protesting is one of them. And yeah, I'm just really honored that I was able to do that today. So I wanted to share it with you guys. Shout out to Chris Lemchi, who's sending bunnies. And shout out to Maddie B, who's sending bunnies. I love that. I love that some of you guys are out there. And yeah, it was wow, the call, the different chants and things that we were saying. And one of my favorite things is when they say her name or say his name, because, and then same thing with Robert Fuller's, we're not going to forget these people's names. We're not. And that really matters. To all of you guys in here, Chuck Caslow, who said I had to take days off. Good for you. Super Dan, Mert Taranta, Fillmore Pockets, Ethan's Tech World. Again, I'm with you guys. And I still need to be careful. And I don't know, maybe this is my last of the protests, but I'm really glad I was able to go. So anyway, thank you guys for listening to my experience on that. One of the things that really did fire me up to go, well, there was a few things. One of them was just kind of thinking about one day, kind of recalling this time for my children, if I ever have them, and them being like, Mom, did you go to the protests, or were you part of the protests? And now being able to say yes, which sounds so silly, but you want to, when you're really part of a movement, you want to fully be part of that movement. But another thing that really, after yesterday's show with the story about 7-Eleven, for anybody who didn't hear, I recommend that you go hear James Lott Jr.'s interview and the story. It was kind of strange because I started watching Jay Pharaoh's Instagram Live, and let me know if you guys have seen this, because Jay Pharaoh put out a video on Instagram Live, and Jay Pharoah's pretty famous. SNL and comedian, actor, pretty famous. And he is a wealthy, famous man. And he is just, he puts out an Instagram story in which he's talking to camera and he's recounting a story in which he was walking down the street and all of a sudden, cop car pulls up next to him, tells him to get on the ground and spread. Two other cops come right over, all of them like just on him on the ground. One of them puts his knee into his neck and he's telling this story and we're watching the footage happen because they must have gotten like a street cam or some kind of camera that was on one of the stores recording this. And somehow he got that footage and it was incredible. So it was incredible in the worst possible way. But as he's telling the story, we are really watching it. And you watch the cop put his knee on the back of Jay Pharoah's neck. And obviously flashbacks to watching George Floyd. And Jay Pharaoh says something you can't hear him say it, but he's recounting the story. He says something like that he said to the cops, Google Jay Pharaoh. You guys are making a big mistake. And that he grew up in the suburbs and he never had to experience anything like this. And it was just so intense to watch this man who was wearing his, I think, Beats headphones that were noise canceling walk down the street and have these cops just start shouting at him and run around him and put their knee on his neck on the ground because they said that he fit the description of somebody in the neighborhood that was doing something wrong. That would never happen to me. And a huge part of that is white privilege, but that would just never happen to me. There would never be even if there was a description of a small white blonde girl doing something bad in a neighborhood, I really truly don't believe that 3 cop cars would pull up and pin me to the ground and have me spread and put their knee on my neck. It's just not the way it would go. So watching that video was like just so intense and challenging to see, and hearing him talk about it. I see a lot of you guys in here still talking about the protests and protests not being in your neighborhood and area. And also Ethan, who says, my mom has ALS, so you can't go to the protests. Listen, you should not go to something that puts you and your family at risk, or something you physically can't get to, Jake, because there's not any in your neighborhood. This is not me trying to, and I really believed that by the time protests were done, I was not going to have gone to any of them because of Grammy and Papo. I'm lucky that I live in a city where there are different size protests and different ways that people are protesting. So this is not to shame anybody about anything. And I totally understand those of you guys who can't go. Try to do other things, like even watching these shows where I have these incredible Black artists and creators on, and go follow them and support them. Those are all different ways that you can help. But yeah, just taking a step back to make sure you guys know that if you're here right now, I know that you give a fuck. I know that you do. So going back to this, for anybody who didn't watch his Instagram live, make sure you check it out because it was challenging. It's only a few minutes too. Going back in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. No Name, thank you for the support, just with No Name. D-Train says, Da5 Bloods is awesome. Delroy Lindo for Best Actor at next year's Oscars, if there is one. Spike Lee has done it again. Really wish this was released in theaters. This would have been a great movie-going experience. It's that good. D-Train, I haven't seen it yet. It's definitely on my list, and I will watch it. I think it's on Netflix, right? I definitely will be checking it out. Thanks for letting me know that it was awesome. Glenn in here, Glenn Caesar says, Yeah, after the police shooting of Rayshard Brooks at a Wendy's drive-thru in Atlanta last night, hearing a cop say Black people ought to be shot more is definitely not a step in the right direction, not to mention Robert Fuller and Palmdale sigh. Glenn, yeah, I mean, it is a lot of two step forward, one step back, and there is just a lot of racist motherfuckers still out there. It's not when we say we're not going a step in the right direction, we are. We are stepping in the right direction. There's just people that are fucking dragging us back, and we need to shake them the fuck off and leave them the fuck behind as much as we can. And part of that is going to be about, for lack of better words, a generation dying. Part of this is going to be with time and with training new generations and teaching new generations. The Robert Fuller stuff makes me sick to my stomach. I don't know that we mentioned it on the show yesterday. I think maybe I did mention it, but fucking horrible and disgusting. And today, I know I've talked about Breonna Taylor a lot, but just thinking about her and truly thinking about being an outstanding person and citizen who is an EMT, an essential worker, who is in your own home. And if all this wasn't happening right now, those police officers get away scot-free. And still might. How fucked up is that? And every time I said her name, I get chills because she was 26. You know, I saw that a lot of us have seen that picture of her in that black dress, posing. And I'm like, this girl could have been my friend. She was a worker. From everybody who's interviewed, a great person. And she was in her own home. And that's especially supposed to be the place that you're safe. So all of these stories, I think it's important to continue to talk about. Lloyd Nance, I support you. Roxy, Lloyd, I support you. I'm so happy to have you here. And I've missed you. I feel like it's been a second. So welcome home. Yeah, just so very moving. I know I keep going back to the march, but it was incredibly moving, to say the least. And I'm very, very lucky that I was able to go. Pappas in the Streamlabs says, thanks for everything. You're welcome, but you definitely don't need to thank me. Just trying to do my part and do what I can to do anything I can. Okay. So moving on, because again, we go all over the place on this show. I always say that, but we will continue to talk about Black Lives Matter for a really long time here, because it's not a fucking fad or trend. So I told you guys tomorrow, I'm really excited that my friend Jayla Rocks is joining us. She's Black. She's got her own makeup line that is killer and doing so well. And I believe she's the first trans woman with a makeup line, a national makeup line. I have to make sure that I know that, but I believe that's the case. And it's like awesome. She was featured in, I think, Forbes. She's been featured in a lot of incredible places. Was it Forbes? I can't. Gotta do my research, but she's awesome and great host too. Very talented. You guys are gonna like her a lot. And then my friend James Maple is coming on next Thursday, and he is an incredible activist who did 8 straight days of protesting all day, 8 days. And if you are following him on social, it was like incredible to watch. The first day, I think it was the first day, he got shot with a rubber bullet. He's been such an amazing voice during this time. And I'm very excited to have him on later in the week, and more guests, of course, throughout. Looking at some of you guys in here right now. Thank you to Chris Lemchi, who says all the love and support Roxy and sends bunnies. Love to see that. NFL Caleb 22. Thank you for the support as well. And Lamont Smalls bringing us to our next topic. Let's talk about it. Lamont Smalls says, So Tenet, Wonder Woman, and other Warner Brothers movies got moved. Also, there's thought that Mulan could go to premium VOD, not Disney Plus. Your thoughts on how it could affect the Oscars if there is one. So let's just talk about in general the first part of this. The fact that Wonder Woman and Tenet were moved. So Tenet was moved by 2 weeks, I believe, which is kind of a strange move. Like the little engine that could. Tenet was moved. Let's see, Tenet release date. I think that we are still July 17th. So that means that it was pushed back, 2 weeks. So it's interesting. It gives it a little bit more time. I think we're going to see, I know that LA is spiking a little bit right now from what I hear. So we're going to see exactly what that looks like. Wonder Woman, I believe, got pushed to October, which makes me feel a bit more confident. However, if we are out in the world again and then there is a second wave of this, as a lot of people are expecting, and October seems like it's kind of prime time for that second wave. So that's a little concerning as it was moved from June 5th to August 14th and now October 2nd. We will see, though. We definitely will see. Mulan coming out on VOD. I think that they would wait 2 years to release Mulan in theaters before they would put it out on VOD. I'm not sure about that, but come on, I want to see that on the big screen. I think a lot of people do. How would it affect the Oscars? I think that the Oscars are going to have their work cut out for them. We're going to talk about the diversity and inclusiveness, or whatever the rules are. I guess we can kind of just get into that pretty soon, but it's going to be, the Oscars are going to be forever changed, I believe. And we're going to have to kind of break down what exactly that means. I don't think that particularly Wonder Woman moving its date and Tenet moving its date are going to have much of an effect, but all of these dates moving, of course, will. So yeah. But we will talk about the Oscars momentarily. Mark Jason Ali says, "We support you, Roxy. I've been a fan of yours since the beginning of DC Movie News. You're awesome. We'll follow you anywhere. # Black Lives Matter." Thanks. I appreciate that. I love DC Movie News. And I believe we are back on Friday with DC Movie News. We've been dark for a couple weeks, but I believe we are back Friday. Gregory Castillo with the support. Thank you for the support, my friend. I appreciate that. You are awesome, my dear. And you guys all are. Let's talk about things that make me cry. Just the amount of support that I get in here from that. Speaking of my protest partner, by the way, that we were talking about before, Nerds in Suits' very own Ben Bateman, keep kicking ass. A-Rocks, proud to support BLM with you. What do you guys think? A-Rock, like I'm a rocks. Keep kicking ass, A-Rocks. Probably just a spelling mistake. Yeah, Ben, what did you think? I know that you're going to be discussing it a little bit on your show tonight for Action Industries, but let us know in the comments what you thought. I know that Ben and I definitely had different experiences at the march today. Him and I have talked about this often, but we both feel things very differently, I think. I'm much more emotionally connected to things. And by emotionally connected, I mean like outward emotion. So yeah, he can attest to the fact that my mask had snot in it by the end, which is not the easiest thing to breathe through, and super duper not that sexy. But I'd be curious to hear how you would sum up your experience today, Ben. So let us know. Samir Tesfaye or Samir T. They moved Wonder Woman 84 from my birthday month release to now October. What the fudge, Roxy? Yeah, they did do that, but also like shit happens, and we are seeing right now so much worse shit is happening. So if that's the way that it's got to be, that's the way it's got to be to keep people safe. What's your birthday? Are you a Leo? Just curious. Let me know. Leos are the best people on the planet, I believe. Greg Lebeau or Lebeau? Greg Lebeau? Lebeau. Well, Lebo. Greg LeBeau, thanks for the support. I appreciate it. You rock. You guys know I butcher names. She can't help it. It's just the way that it works. Okay, let's talk about the Oscars because they're a thing to talk about, and in normal times we talk about movies, and this kind of combines normal times with these times because it's kind of related to Black Lives Matter, I guess. We'll have to see. I saw a lot of mixed things on this. People mostly being a little confused on what exactly this means. But okay, so let's just break it down. For anybody who didn't know, the Oscars are adding a diversity requirement for eligibility. So if you want to be eligible for the Oscars, you are going to have to be eligible with specific requirements. Those requirements are not clear yet, though. So they say, this was an article that was in the New York Times. They say for the annual telecast, which next year may be in flux because of the challenges posed by the coronavirus, the Academy will create a task force to develop a new inclusion standards for Oscar eligibility by the end of July. Yeah, so I saw by July 31st, we will know what the inclusion program consists of. And films submitted this year will not be affected because that wouldn't necessarily be fair because the films have already been made or in pre-pro or post or whatever. The organization also announced that the Best Picture category will be set at 10 films rather than the fluctuating number of nominations that has been in effect since the 2010 Oscars. I've always thought it was so weird that they pick a random amount of, that they've done 9 or 8 and then 10. It's like, if you can nominate 10, there's definitely 10 great ones. It's so strange. But anyway, okay. So it says internally, the organization's board of governors amended its bylaws to limit the number of terms each governor may serve on the board to a maximum of 12. Previously, there was no limit. That's kind of a cool one too. It's unclear because that way we're swapping out members of the board, so it's not always just very elderly white men. I'm assuming that's why they made that. It's unclear what the diversity requirements will entail, but the Academy could take a page from its brethren in Britain. In 2019, the British Film Institute became the first major awards body to introduce diversity and inclusion criteria to its eligibility. All entries in 2 British film categories, Outstanding British Film and Outstanding Debut by a British Writer, Director, or Producer, are now required to increase representation to meet at least 2 of 4 diversity standards like on-screen representation, themes and narratives, and industry access and opportunities, among others. So it's hard to really break this down until we know what they are going to be. Inclusion is a great thing. And we need to push people who are filmmakers to write about and produce things that are inclusive. We need to have more stories that are told that are inclusive. We need to have more production teams be inclusive and diverse. So, in theory, this is a really good thing. But we will see. It's a hard thing to define. And so, is that some stories, when you're telling real stories of the past, you need to be authentic to those stories. So maybe you just wouldn't be eligible for an Oscar if you want to tell a story that is something that is not able to be inclusive for XYZ reason. So yeah. What do you guys think? Are you surprised by the Oscars plan for inclusion? Are you happy about the inclusion and diversity? Are you kind of saving your judgment and opinions until we know more about this? The one thing I think is so strange with the Oscars is they continue to do this. The way they make announcements is so fucking ass backwards, but they continue to make announcements that they're gonna make announcements. Remember, like, the popular film? And then what does that mean? And then they were going to explain what popular meant, but then they just didn't. And it's like, this really is an announcement about an announcement. if you're not going to make the rules until July, why are you telling us that you're going to make an announcement in July, the end of July, about rules? I mean, that's in a month and a half. You wanted to let us know 6 weeks in advance that you were going to. I mean, I get that right now is when the movement is. And so they want to be a part of the movement and show good faith, but like, then make the rules now and announce them now. Because it's so strange to tell us that you're going to be more inclusive, but hold please, we'll let you know how we're going to do that in a hot minute. And that hot minute is 6 weeks long. Okay. It's a little weird. I think that one of the main things that they definitely should be doing, though, and Chris Martinez is saying this too, maybe they'll have diversity requirements for the crew if the story can't be diverse. Exactly, I agree. I think that diversity on set is as important as diversity in the stories. So that really matters. Oh, hey, shout out to my friend Haley Matthews, who's in here right now. Girl, I'm confused too. Yeah, the announcement for an announcement thing is funny. A lot of companies, I feel like, do this. I mean, we need more Ben and Jerry's of the world who are just kind of like, yes, you're a corporate company, but also you're humans with souls, and like, just say what you fucking mean to say and say it loud and say it proud. So Oscars, if what you mean to say is it sucks that there's so many old white men in every area of this industry and we want less old white men, so we're going to do that by saying if you want to be submitting for an Oscar, half of your people on the set need to not be old white dudes, 50% or whatever. You need to have themes and stories that are more inclusive, which would mean making sure that there is diversity in the film, in your actors, that if you have a race-related theme, there's at least somebody of and multiple people of the race that you are talking about on the back end of things. So it's not just a bunch of white people telling non-white stories. There's just so many things that you could just talk about, but instead it's like, we are going to be diverse and inclusive. Sweet bro. What's that mean? Like, in theory, awesome. Diverse and inclusive is great. How? Talk to me. We're not going to talk to you right now because, let's be honest, we don't know. We haven't spent like that much time thinking about this yet, but we definitely are going to think about this, just like not for a few more weeks. Cool, but like, why not? What are you doing now? Oscars, what are you working on right now? There's no movies out. You're not reviewing anything. What are you working on? Well, like, we're just like, it's COVID. Just tell me what your plan is. So that's my imitation of the conversation brought to real life. Back to Greg in here. Greg, did I say it right or wrong? Lebeau. Have you thought about starting a podcast? Yo, I have to. I want to turn this into a podcast. Maybe I'll just start it today. Everybody keeps telling me to. Jake Yakoveta, help me with that. Jay Reed in here says, love you, Roxy. Jay, thank you for your support, friend. Appreciate that. Yeah, I will. It will be a podcast V soon. So maybe this week. I keep fucking saying that. I'm sorry. I will. There's just so much going on. And with this much going on, by the way, I don't think it's a surprise, so I can say this. Past guest of the show, Takira, it is her baby shower today at 2, so I will be signing off in a couple minutes to jump onto that. It is 90s theme, so I brought my Sesame Street cutoff shirt because I feel like, it says 94 on it. It's kind of 90s, and then my hair isn't like this because I'm a 90s bitch. I should have put glitter all over me. All right, going into this Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Ben M says, no justice, no Katie's. God, I miss Katie. That bitch. D-Train says, I've read that Warner Brothers is re-releasing Inception on July 17th in theaters 2 weeks before Tenet. Could they be connected after all? I don't think so, but maybe they're just like doing a test to see if people are going to the theaters right now. Maybe. Stone Fanboy in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/RoxyStryer. Do you think Tenet will even hit the July 31st release date, or is it going to get pushed back further? Keep up the good work. As usual, hoping to see you frozen in carbonite on one day in the future, Star Wars, with your cute pose. Take it easy and stay safe. Thanks, Stone Fanboy. Do I think Tenet will be released back from July 31? I kind of don't. I actually kind of think that that date is going to stick. And I think it might be a little bit of a disaster, but I don't really think it's gonna move again. What do you guys think? Bunnies in here if you think that Tenet will stay on July 31st. Hearts if you think it will have to move again. Bunny means that Tenet stays. Hearts means that it moves. You guys let me know. Samir said, change only comes with action. You can have all the rules you want, but if people/organizations are not enforcing them, then it's nothing but noise. Take action, for sure. For sure. And that's what I think that a lot of us in here are doing and working on. Yeah. Glenn Caesar in the Streamlab said, yeah, that's true, Roxy. People are taking steps forward in the right direction in terms of Black Lives Matter, but the statement by the Tulsa cop is definitely a sign of some people taking steps backward and being a drag on those who are moving forward. I know. Fuck them. Those fucking fuck. Those Katie fucks. Not our Katie. We love Katie Robinson. But that Katie. Ugh. All right. So bunnies, we said that it was going to stay. It looks like more of you guys think it's going to move than stay. A lot of you guys think it's going to move dates again. But some bunnies, but a lot of hearts. I really don't know. Tough call. You know what? This is one of those cases in which truly time will tell. Truly, time will tell. Look, it's our girl, Katie. Katie, we love this Katie, but we don't love the Katies. It just is what it is. All right, guys, we are getting out of here again so I can go to Takira's baby shower. Why do I always pause before I say it? I keep wanting to say like bachelorette, but it's baby shower. Here's again, just because I'm so proud of it. My son. Your girl's a little protester, guys. Baby's first protest. As a reminder, again, tomorrow, my friend Jayla Rocks is on the show. Can't wait to have her. Thursday, James Maple. Can't wait to have him. We're going to have a whole bunch of people in between. Keep submitting who you guys want me to have on the show. If you would please, after this video is done, leave a comment. It really helps. You guys can literally go back and see my videos with more comment have like twice as many views because with the algorithms, it really fucking helps. And YouTube is still being shady as fuck because some of my videos now they're making limited and some of them they're not. And I'm trying to contest them, but it's just not helping. It's not working very well. So let's try to get those views up by leaving a comment. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, 1 p.m. live at the Roxy. A few shout outs before we go because I haven't been giving shout outs because we've been having so many guests. So anybody who wants a goodbye, just let me know. I'll start with you guys who are in here. Shout out and goodbye to Lemmy Kilmister, Lewis Cox, Weston Ira, Andrew Thomas, Bubba 2. I like that name. Acid Rap, Jazz, Grunge, Electric, Hallucinogen, Lewis Cox, F YouTube, for real though. But when I say that, they take away my money. So yeah, YouTube. Yay, you're so great, YouTube. Glenn Caesar, Chris Lemchi. Let's see. Mark, Jason Ali, Stone Fanboy in here. Tenet is too big of a movie that I don't see them risking it for a test date. I see it getting pushed back. Keep it up, my cute carbonite princess. Thanks, friend. Yeah, you could be right. Chris Martinez, Jake Yacovetta, Chuck Caslow, Rob K, Lewis Cox, Weston Ira, Real Profess, Super Dan the man. Acer 500, Murtaranta, Lemmy Kilmister, Jay Reed, All of the people. Maddie B, Paige Chaudhry. All right, guys. I think that's it for now. Joseph Ashley. Yeah. Okay. Tried to get a lot of you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.